All right. So, our first review of the day is going to be for the Max series, The Penguin, which is a spinoff of the Batman there. It's following the events of that movie, the Matt Reeves Batman that came out in 2022. Here in this series, it stars Colin Farrell as Oz Cobb, also known as the Penguin there, but don't call him that to his face. He doesn't really like that too much. We did a mid-season review there of The Penguin, which is on the channel right now. People can check it out, the Afternoon Tune at YouTube there, where we did do a mid-season review of that. It just wrapped up. It had its season finale this past Sunday. So now we're going to discuss the whole series there, and we're going to get into spoilers there. So if you have not seen it yet, I urge you to kind of click off this and then go and watch the whole series, and then come back when you have finished it there. So we are going to be delving into spoilers with all of that. What is this series about? Like I said, it's following the events of the Batman film there after the Riddler set off all those bombs in Gotham there, kind of ruining the city, leaving it destitute, especially for the poorest residents of that city there. And it kind of left a power vacuum as well for all the criminals in Gotham, because there was also an assassination of Carmine Falcone there. So it's all about who's going to rise up and be the new boss, crime boss of Gotham. And that's where Oz Cobb kind of fits in there, of going like, maybe it's my time. Maybe it's my time. I trying to work my way, be the top boss there for so many years. He's worked for the Falcone crime family, being kind of just the middle guy. Now it's just trying to be the boss. And we see that throughout this 8 episode series. Yeah, Sage, after seeing all these episodes there, what's kind of your thoughts on the Penguin?
I am pretty much equally as positive as I was on the mid-season review. I think they absolutely stuck the landing here with these last couple episodes. I will say there's a few little things in episode seven specifically, but for the most part, I think that this has brought the city of Gotham to life. I think the best it has so far. And I think this, hands down, has been the deepest. I think this character has been adapted in general. I don't think there's ever been another version so fleshed out that feels so much like a comic book villain and yet so human at the same time.
Mm, yeah. We mentioned it in the mid-season review. Colin Farrell really does knock it out of the park as the Penguin here, and he really disappears into the role. And it helps that he's under 1,000 pounds of makeup and prosthetics that he's got kind of on him there. Where he looks unrecognizable there as Colin Farrell. That also helps there. But just what it does with his voice, what he does with the limp, what he does just kind of going around with his facial expression, his movements there, really sells it. And the journey of this character that you see from the very first episode, and he's just a complete psychopath. I mean, I think you kind of see that they're a real true villain here, and it doesn't do a thing like you see in what Sony does with their villains. Go like, oh well, they're kind of anti-heroes. They're kind of heroes after all. Morbius or Venom or something like that. It's like, no, this guy, he's a villain through and through. There you kind of have that, and it's kind of it reminds you of that era TV that was kind of big in the mid 2010s, I want to say, because you had Mad Men, you had Breaking Bad, you had The Sopranos, The Shield, that kind of era,
Dexter.
Dexter, that era TV. Like, no, these are bad guys. Like, these are bad guys doing bad things. They can be complex and you can understand where they're kind of coming from, but these are still villains and you see their kind of villain story there. And I think it does a kind of good job showcasing that. Um, Also, the people that are kind of he's contending, vying for power there is you have Sophia Gigante, formerly there Falcone, who's played by Kristen Milotti, who also people were praising for her performance in this as well. Not only how good she looked, but how also good she performed there as well in this. And people are also saying that. And I think you also made a prediction there in the midseason there, what would happen with some characters there as well. You kinda got it mostly right, I think I would say with your kinda prediction there. I think you got it kinda mostly right. I think
The prediction I'm remembering is one that I definitely got wrong. So which one was I right about? Now I don't remember what I said.
so this again, like I said, this is a spoiler review, we're gonna do this, but the prediction you were right about when you said the fate of Victor, I think you're right
Ooh,
about
yeah.
that there. So Victor is this young kid there, that Oz ends up meeting one night. He tries to steal his rims. Victor does on his purple car there, and then he ends up kind of taking this kid under his wing, showing him the life of this mob life there, giving him kind of responsibilities. Making him trying to help him be a made man almost in this kind of mafia mob world. And Vic it proves to be a great asset to Oz there. He's not just some kid tagging along there. Sometimes they'll do that with kind of villainous characters. They'll give them like a child kind of character to hang out with to, soften them up, give them a softer side there to show that case that. So at the end of it, it's the two of them sitting there looking out into the water there, and it's this emotional moment. It's like, hey, we're a family now, and then yeah, Penguin ends up kind of killing him. I think your prediction was that he was either gonna sacrifice him, or yeah, he was kinda just gonna let him die, I think was kinda your prediction there. So you kinda mostly right there a little bit.
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly how they do it, if it would be just one of those split second decisions that he often makes in the show where his back's up against the wall and he's just like, well, this is what I got to do. But no, he everything was taken care of. Things were good. This kid looks up to him, respects him. Like, yeah, you respect me too much. I can't have that.
Yeah,
I can't have somebody that cares about me sticking around.
and he's played by Rennie Falez, is the actor's name. People might remember he was also in The Runaways, so he was also in another superhero property. He was also in that as the lead
Mm.
in that, as well, and this is the actor right here. So yeah.
He
So
called
that was
this his superhero redemption project.
yeah. You didn't like, The Runaways?
No, I didn't love that show. I like the book quite a bit. Was it Brian K. Vaughan that did that? The book is really cool and there's a lot going on in there and I mean I'd say the comic book is like by the end of that first 20-page issue,
Mm,
they are where it took that show like an entire series to get.
mm. And then what you're right, it is Brian K. Vaughan who did it there. Um, so yeah, that was yeah, an emotional moment there. And again, I mean, I don't know, I still kind of believed him, even all the way I was like, okay, he's really gonna take this kid with him and it is gonna be, just the two of them against the world. Did you kind of see it coming a little bit? Did you think he was gonna do that?
I was confident he was gonna, but by the like halfway point of this episode, I was starting to really feel. I'm trying to remember exactly what scene it was, but there was a moment where Vic said he said something about them working together, and this Penguin just has this kind of real like somber look, but also there's kind of a grin, like I know something you don't at the same. And the second he made that face, I was like, oh yeah, no, he's definitely getting rid of him by the time this is over.
Mm, yeah. So yeah, everything kind of yeah, throughout the episodes we saw kind of came to a head. You see that it was a vying war for power. Who was going to be on top? Was it going to be Sophia? Was it going to be the Penguin who really was just the two of them? When we did the mid-season review, it was at that point we see Sophia basically killed off her family there. She became the head of the Falcone family, renamed it the Gigante family, and kind of her mission was okay,
Which is a great little allusion to the comic book character because she is like a giant in the comics.
Yeah, she is kind of a giant there. Um, and I made a prediction that you said I think I either asked you or you asked me that I think what was gonna happen with Sophia, was she gonna make it out? And she almost kinda maybe has a fate worse than death, almost with the fate with her, where she goes back to the same place she was there, that kinda ruined her life, and got the moniker the Hangman. Do you
Let
like
it be
that
known
fate?
that I think it works because, especially because I selfishly really want to see her play a role in the future of this universe at some point. I'd really like to see her make a return. I thought Kristen Milotti was just electric on screen. I thought she went toe to toe with Colin Farrell. Absolutely incredible dynamic that these characters had. And I think it would, I mean, this was great. And if we don't see her again, we got a great story. And I think a very fitting conclusion. Um, but I do hope that they do something more with her. And it seems like they set up a little something. At least that the door is open for them to follow up on it. But yeah, let it be known that there is no one, there's no thing that Penguin won't do, and there is no one that he won't do it to.
Yeah. And the moment you're talking about there for Sophia is that she gets a letter, and the letter is from Selena Kyle, who's her half sister. She's the other daughter of Carmine Falcone there. Where do you think that is kind of leading there? Do you think we'll possibly see her in Batman 2, Batman 3 there? Maybe they'll
I,
connect, meet each other.
I, my my instinct is honestly that I think we're gonna get a Selena-based miniseries at some point, and kind of like this. And I think that will follow that plot thread.
Mm, okay. I don't know, maybe he'll break her out, maybe? Maybe that. Something like that.
If anybody can, it would have to be her.
Yeah. So, and like, so you see this kind of vying for power between these both parties there of Sophia, of the Penguin, and then also them trying to, also join in other families, other kind of local gangs there to see who's going to kind of be on their side. The gangs must have gotten really confused because one minute they're on like, okay, we make a deal with the Penguin, then all of a sudden Sophia comes with a deal, then that deal with the Penguin is off the table now. Like so many times they were kind of bouncing back and forth between two groups of people. It was like it must have been kind of confusing there for them. Uh,
You know that that feels accurate to the comics, I will say, with how just backstab heavy the gangsters in comic books could be.
Yeah. Did you kinda like that, kinda the both those forces kinda coming ahead with Sophia, with the Penguin there? Did you think the show kinda made good on its due of, like, this is a mob show, this is a crime show there?
I think so. I really do. I think more successfully in episode 8 than in episode 7. If there's one spot where I will throw a little critique the show's way is I think, and I don't know if it was one episode too many even, but it did feel like at times the seventh episode was treading water just a little bit, so that hey, we don't want to drop all of our plot threads until the last episode, but we do kind of have to keep it afloat a bit until then. In particular, I think the way that episode 6 and 7 end are very similar, where both of those episodes are the antagonist just played a big card, and they are in complete control of the situation. Let's see the hammer come down, and that it was kind of the same cliffhanger, I think, twice. I mean, you know, the specifics were a little different, but the kind of feeling the show was creating, it felt like kind of the same cliffhanger two times. But and that's a small thing. Otherwise, I think once you actually get into the finale, I think the actual final conflict there is very satisfying.
Mm, yeah. Uh, and like you said, this show really explores a lot of with the Penguin, more than I've seen before in with the Penguin in other media. There, I haven't really seen that much go in depth of like him as a person or his kind of passions or feelings.
Even in the comics, he's one that doesn't he doesn't tend to feel as deep as a lot of the other characters. I mean, like Joker, Two Face, Riddler, you know, a lot of Batman's rogues gallery have some sort of personality disorder, you know, and there's a lot going on psychologically with them. And Penguin in the comics is a gun runner. And it's not to say that he's not ever good in the comics or that there's never a good story with him, but he definitely does not get the same level of like character study treatment that you see many other characters in that series go. So this is taking it to a whole other level, I think. I mean, I'm honestly a fan of every kind of live action iteration of the Penguin that we've had, even though but they're all very different from each other. But I don't think any of them have ever felt deep or analytical or complex on like a psychological level the way this one does.
Yeah, because you see a lot with this character as far as his complex that he has about himself, how he kinda developed that complex, one of those being that with the limp there, how people call him the Penguin in a derogatory sense, you have that kinda going on, how kinda that shaped his view of the world there, what kinda drives him to do the things that he does, um and you see kind of him rising up there because you see flashbacks of when he just was the driver for Sophia, and that was only his job. He was just the driver for the family there. And then you see how he kinda rose that, and then he became more of a kind of a major figure there in the family, and then you see him now where he is at the end of the series where, he's taken over everything, and he's kinda the new crime boss of Gotham, there. So I think that journey was kinda good to see there. I don't know, I feel like in another show, if this wasn't like, "Oh, we kinda need to do this because it has to lead into another movie," if, maybe this would be something that would play out over the course of, 4 or 5 seasons, maybe we would kinda see that, but, because it being the type of show that it is, being connected to, the movie, that we have to kinda, oh, like, "Oh, we gotta get to this point there." Did you think it kinda was rushed for it to get to that point of him being the king mob boss of Gotham?
Um, I didn't honestly. I mean, like, 'cause I even kind of felt like episode six at times felt like maybe like it was treading water a little bit, or like it was slowing down just a little much in that one. Not by like a ton, but yeah, honestly, I liked the pace of it. And I think I know that's a long movie, but Godfather has that moment where he's kind of hitting everybody at once. And if you can do that at the end of a 2.5 hour movie or 3 hour movie, I feel like you can do it at the end of like an 8 hour series.
Mm. And you think 8 episodes, that was probably enough? Because sometimes, like I said, the dreaded streaming service 8-episode kinda order there, sometimes it's like they rush things at the end and it's too much. You think they did well with the 8 episodes?
I think they did pretty well. I mean, like at most, I would have even said you could have condensed like six and seven together, maybe, and done one episode shorter. But other than that, I thought they used their format really well.
Yeah. And yeah, you see kind of the progress of things there, how he's kind of working, how he's making moves there, and they have this create this new drug on the street, Bliss, I think it was called. They do that.
Bliss, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna replace drops that they got, and that's gonna be a big thing to sell to people. So he's cornering the market on that. Um, so I think that was kinda really good, this show, and you could see that the way that this show is, you can see it playing into, the Batman Part 2, and not in a way like in maybe some Disney Marvel shows where it's like, this is only here just to set up this other thing. It just feels like, no, this is
Mhm.
just the building. Gotham City is the kind of playground here, and, it's about leading into, like, the stakes of Gotham, not just for, Batman or anything else like that, the citizens of actually this place, there, which I thought was actually really good, with that. Um, yeah, and oh, that was Clancy Brown, by the way, who was,
Uh,
Salvatore. Um, I feel like with him, the way he kinda went out was kinda anticlimactic. I don't know. What did you kinda think?
so I agree, and I thought it felt convenient. And so, like I said, I think episode seven was maybe the weakest overall. Again, and not to say bad, just compared to the other episodes, which were maybe more excellent overall. Um, the one thing that I like about that though is that it there is like a little psychological twitch in Penguin there where he's like like he's kind of unhappy for a second knowing that he can't like he's lying to everybody when he says, "Oh, I took Sal out," and it looks like he's like almost mad he can't actually truthfully say he did it. So I liked that little bit of a like, "Oh, you kind of didn't actually win this fight," and he always has to know that. But in terms of the actual plot, it felt kind of contrived.
Yeah, because all of a sudden he just yeah, I mean, there's moments where I say it goes kind of back and forth throughout the series. At one moment, the Penguin's on top. One moment, Sophia's on top, and you think, oh, she's got him and he's got her, and he's down and out, but then he's back again. And then there's another moment where Sophia, Sal, they team up, join families. They get the local gangs on their side. They captured the Penguin. They captured the Penguin's mother. Um, and yeah, he brings them to his lab, and then him and Sal have a fight, and then boom, he just has a heart attack just right there, and then that's it. I mean, he just kind of dies, and it's kind of like, okay, uh,
A little
I'm
unceremonious.
yeah, I just kind of feel. I mean, I guess you said. I mean, it kind of was. I mean, he did have that moment with him where he kind of goes like he didn't actually take him out, so there's that little like, him feeling like okay, I didn't actually earn that. So he kind of got that going there.
That's the
Uh,
one part of it I do think is kind of interesting, but as far as like its effect on the rest of the plot, it does kind of feel like, well, we need to wrap this character off somehow so it can be all about Sophia and Penguin's dynamic in the last one. And it did feel like a bit of a lazy way to get rid of that character.
did you feel like his character was kind of not really pointless because his character did kind of play into some things, but overall, to the grand scheme of things, not really added much. And I love Clancy Brown. I think he's a great actor, but didn't really add
He was working for me uh entirely in I think every episode up until that one. And then that one, I mean, even then, even before that particular scene, um, he does feel slightly more superfluous because the way he died. But at the same time, I mean, there are a lot of Penguin's initial plans at the beginning. This guy was just sitting, not really doing anything, right? Trying to run his family from behind bars. And Penguin is the one that seeds him into this whole situation and kind of bridges that. So, I mean, I think he still brought value to the show overall because of the way Penguin involved him in his plan to kind of push everyone against each other. Um, I wish he'd had a stronger conclusive moment though.
much. If you had to say who's one of the weakest kind of members of the cast, some people are pointing out Theo Rossi, who was the therapist there. For
Yeah, he kind of didn't feel like he really amounted to all that much.
Yeah. So he was the doctor there that was the psychiatrist for her at Arkham Asylum. And then he also becomes a lover partner of hers when she gets out. Um, I mean, he comes in kind of later towards the season there, kind of because the midway we see the flashback episode. That was episode what 4? The flashback episode 4 or 5.
I
I think it
think it
was
was four.
4.
Yeah.
And then so that's when he's first introduced, and then we kind of see him come in a little bit kinda a little bit here and there throughout the rest of the episodes there, kind of, I guess, giving her sometimes advice there somewhat, and yeah, I felt like his character was kinda just I could take him or leave him, I guess, I'm not
Yeah, he wasn't like actively hindering anything either. I definitely thought he was going to matter more because again, Matt Reeves likes to kind of change last names sometimes in his adaptation, and so I thought Dr. Julian Rush, maybe that's meant to be Dr. Julian Day, which is Calendar Man, and I thought they might be setting that up for an episode or two, but yeah, he kind of ended up feeling like he didn't really matter all that much.
I mean, he still could be, maybe. I mean, he's still alive, he's still, psychiatrist at Arkham there, so, he could, right, come into play, maybe there's a
He's never
possibility.
expressed any sort of fascination with like dates or anything in his time.
True, yeah. But yeah, he didn't really seem like he kinda, yeah, added to a lot of much. So I had to say the weakest man. Theo Rossi, he's pretty good. I mean, I've seen him in some things like Sons of Anarchy. People were like, maybe he's gonna be a villain in this because typically he plays villains in a lot of things. He's gonna backstab Sophia, but he didn't. He didn't do that in this time around there in this character. Uh, yeah, I mean, but, strong cast all around. I mean, like, everybody really did a good job there. And then especially, Deidre O'Connell, who plays Frances Cobb, who's Oz's mother there, especially the last few episodes. There's a big reveal that happens in, I think it was episode 7, so they do a flashback with, Oz when he's a kid, and, we had heard throughout the series at the beginning, of the episodes there at the start of the series that, he had family, he had, a father there, and he had 2 brothers. We don't ever see the father. We never see that. We actually never find out what actually happened to the father, but he did have 2 brothers, and then with that flashback episode, it gets revealed that he actually killed his 2 brothers there, because he was jealous of the affection that, his mother gave them, and that his mother also always knew that he killed his 2 brothers there, and just kept it a secret. How'd you like that, reveal?
It's funny. As soon as we got the flashback started, it's another one of those small expressions, but he looks at her a certain way when his brothers come in the house and she's not paying attention to him for a moment. And the second that happened, I thought, did he kill his brothers on purpose? I was thinking along that track. I think the fact that she knew the whole time, I love that because on a rewatch now, and this is already the sense that you are getting from him as a character, constantly lying, right? Constantly screwing people over. He It's hard to tell sometimes how much he means what he's saying in every moment. Um, and with both of them lying, it makes me want to rewatch the show, looking at every one of their interactions and how kind of fake it is in a certain way from both sides of it. And I think there's a coldness that is just permeates his entire character. And I think with that hindsight knowledge, it makes all of those scenes just kind of a little extra unsettling. Whereas watching them the first time through, I'm like, well, maybe there's some genuine element here with Bear, maybe Vic, maybe his mom, maybe he does have some genuine affection for just these couple of people. And I mean, I was watching it with someone else too, and they said they thought that it's as much care as he's capable of giving, and I think that's true. Like he loves those two people as much as he can, as much as his mind allows for. But the way that he is willing to just toss them to the side the second that it becomes convenient for him, um, and just keeping that in mind during all of their earlier scenes, I think it adds a kind of unsettling factor to all of those moments.
Yeah. You see his mother, his mother suffers from dementia in it and also Parkinson's. And so he takes care of her a lot. Again, that was shown as and part of the earlier episodes there is like, hey, it kind of gives you a more softer side to this, hardened criminal there and what he's doing. And it's like, oh, well, he loves his mother and he takes care of his mother. And, that kind of is a redeemable factor for him. And then, as time goes on, you see what kind of happens there. Yeah, that he ended up doing that to his brothers and that his mother always knew, which I thought was really good how they kind of played that. And then initially she wanted,
And then what he does to his mother as well.
yeah, which was very kind of scary, almost horror-esque always, yeah, with that. And then initially she wanted to have him killed initially by a local mobster there. Which exactly, mm, I guess like I said, I mean, that was kind of, I mean, she was all he had. I mean, she was it for, I mean, she would had no more sons after she would have killed him. That was kind of it there.
I
Um,
think that made her hesitant. But I also think that scene where they're sitting there at the club and he's going to take him, Rex Calabrese is going to drive Penguin and kill him. But then he goes on this long talk about, oh, well, what I'm gonna do for you, ma, and I'll take care of you, ma. It's like even as a kid, his ability to it's like his manipulation is even kind of working for like a little bit, right? Like she knows he's lying. She knows what he did, but he's even kind of able to smooth talk his way out of that a little bit. And like that instinct to just like I said, be quick on his feet and lie and just say what people need to hear is it's so natural and ingrained in him that it's like I don't think he learned that from anyone. Like that is like a innate just element of his personality.
And Ryder Allen, he plays the young Oz Cobb there, and he does a great job. He does
Yeah,
kind
I
of
thought that was great casting.
Yeah, he does kind of a great job there. Hopefully, get to see him in more stuff. I think he's really good. Hopefully, get to see him there. Yeah, so he does a fantastic job. Like I said, his ability. I mean, he's always talking in way out of situations because Penguin, there's many times in the show he looks like, okay, this is it for him. He's probably done for. I mean, obviously not because it's the Penguin. You're not gonna kill off the Penguin
Right.
there. But there's always looks like he's out there. But I think the show does it a convincing job to like sell why he would get out of these situations there. I mean, there's a lot of last minute saves. Like there's that moment with Vic in the car, and there's that, and there was the moment with Sal in the drug lab, and then the way he's able to get out of that. I mean, for a guy with a limp, he's able to run his ass off when he's got to. I mean, that means he's able to get out of those situations. And there's that moment also where they have his mother and they perform. That's I guess one of the usefulness of Theo Rossi's character. They do some therapy on it, do some psychotherapy there, and then she's able to remember kind of what happened at that incident and recall that incident. And then they have Sophia has both him and her together, and it's like I'm gonna cut off her finger right now, if you don't tell the truth. But he wouldn't do it. He was still selling it all the way through there, and he's gonna let them do probably whatever, to his mother there without revealing the truth, until she just blurted it out, which I thought that was a great moment. What'd you think about that?
Oh, I loved it. I that might be my favorite scene in the show. Honestly, her exploding at him and then finally saying everything she thinks about him to his face. And again, it's like there's heartbreak in his expression, but because of the way he is, you wonder how much of that does he even truly feel? Like how
Mm,
heartbroken, how genuine is that? Like how much is he just playing it up for the moment until he has this his chance to make a move, or how much of that is his genuine feeling and what she's saying to him.
mm,
And I tell you that her rejecting him that way is it's such a strong moment. And I keep saying I don't think Marvel's gonna pull off any of the storylines with like Doctor Doom, and this was like almost an exact moment pulled from one of those comics that I go, if Marvel really wanted to be creative, they'd try something like this. And here's a Penguin miniseries doing like exactly what I'm asking for from comic book properties, exact scenes even that I'm interested in seeing, even if it's with different characters. Um, yeah, I thought that was just absolutely stand up.
yeah, that was a great scene there between the two of them. Like again, his ability to lie and just keep on lying and then convince other people is unparalleled. I mean, he's got a great ability. I mean, there, for sure. This was I think a very well made show. There, I think a lot of people were heavily anticipating this show because of the connection to the Batman movie there, and a good job Colin Farrell did as the Penguin. And people did like Matt Reeves' Batman, and to see a more of expansion of that. And just for this to be just a Penguin story, it's not all it doesn't, have any big references to, Batman. Batman doesn't show up in it. But I guess if you want to count the bat signal that shows up at the end, if you want to count that, which was also a great shot there of he's saying like, who's gonna stop me, or you know what I mean? And then they
Right.
cut to the bat signal. I thought that was really good. I thought that was pretty good there. Um, but yeah, I mean, so I think this does a really great job of that, of being kind of this. My only fear is that with the success of this and with the praise of this, is they're talking about doing a bunch of other miniseries, like maybe with Catwoman or Joker or any of that. Like it's gonna be kind of like, okay, this is a little oversaturated, and you know, what I mean, that's kind of a fear of kind of
Right.
those things there. But I think with Matt Reeves, I think he has a vision, you know, and a
Yeah.
vision for Gotham and for the world of Batman. Like he's in his own playground with Batman, and I have confidence in him with that with it. So I very much like that, and you know it having so many parallels to other kind of mob shows that you'll probably see there. Even the stuff with his mother, even though I didn't watch Sopranos, I do remember that I do know of that storyline in the Sopranos of his James Gandolfini's mother in that tried to kill him in that show. So it kinda has a little bit, and they had always a
Mhm.
contentious relationship and everything. But yeah, this was a really wonderful. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a surprise there so much, because I just reviewed Agatha All Along, and I mentioned how kinda that was a surprise. 'Cause I think the expectations were kinda lower for that one, given the track record of a lot of Disney Plus Marvel shows and so on. But this one, came in with, I think, high expectations given the pedigree of, who was behind it and who was in front of the camera there. And I think it lived up to those expectations. I think this was a good show there, great cast. You really, you know what I mean? And it portrays the Penguin as this complicated villain figure, which I think it does a great job of that. It makes good on the promise of being a well made crime show. And I think it's good at that. And then has a great ending and finale to this. Poor Vic, I mean, poor him there. I think they sold that well. Poor his mother. What happened to her there at the end of that, where she ends up in a vegetative state, and then a very Oedipus kind of situation that goes on where he gets the woman that he was with there.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
weird. That was uncomfortable.
yeah, he even puts her in the same dress his mother was in that you saw in the flashback, and
Her hair's dyed the same color too.
hair's dyed the same color, and then he makes her say, like, "Are you proud of me? Do you love me?" He even calls her ma. He calls her ma. I was like, "Geez," he even take it a step further and do that with it. And that was Carmen Iago there, who plays, the love interest for him in this
Mhm.
show there, and that got really super weird. I was like, "These ain't going all the way." So yeah, uh
You're gonna remember the ending for that reason.
yeah. And then also really great what they did with her with the tear at the end. That was really great with the mother. Where they do that. That was
Mhm.
really great. So for me, I would give it a strong I give it a strong tune in, maybe low peak for the Penguin. What about you? Final thoughts rating?
Um, yeah, I mean, I feel pretty much right there with you. There's a couple little things here and there, but for the most part, I thought this was fantastic. The cast was great. The script was really tightly well written. One of my favorite scenes, actually, I didn't mention before, but him intimidating the councilman in the last episode, because Penguin's, going all the way back to the Adam West TV series. Penguin has done various versions of running for mayor, or running for some sort of political office. And so there's this great scene where he's intimidating this councilman in the it's I think it's in the courthouse, right? And
Yeah.
he goes and he sits on the bench and there's like a sign about like a was it the mayor elect or whatever that's like left on the wall from an earlier celebration. So it seems like they're setting him up for a like political office or attempt at political office in the future, which I think would be most of the time that's done in a way that's really goofy. And I mean, as far as I know, it started with Adam West, so it's extremely goofy there. Um, but I've never seen that storyline taken like seriously like this. So that I think that seems like something they're setting up that'll be really cool. Um, but yeah, everything about this I think works as well as it does because it doesn't necessarily necessitate watching what comes after it. Like this feels very conclusive. It feels like it ends. The character arcs are actually well rounded instead of just kind of leaving off as teed up for next time. Um, I think I'm going to give it a just a full like high regular to high peak. I really did love this. And I liked the Matt Reeves Batman film,
Mm,
but one of my criticisms of that is the character writing for the villain. I think falls kind of short. And to me, this was a much better script, much better actual story than that first Batman film. So for me, I guess it was kind of a surprise because even though I went in with expectations that I'd see something good, based on the movie, I wasn't expecting to just love it the way that I did.
mm. And this is Lauren LaFranc who did it, who developed this, who was a writer, producer, showrunner there. Yeah, so done some good work there. They've done episodes of TV, Chuck, Agents of Shield, Impulse.
Get
There,
him a medal.
we say,
They get him a medal after this one.
yeah. I don't know if this. I mean, you see Colin Farrell being nominated maybe for his
I think he should be.
yeah, for his performance there. I could maybe see it depending on what's up there. I could maybe see him being nominated for his performance there. Also, Christina Milani, I could see her being nominated also for her performance. There's some rumors that
Yeah,
maybe
I could see her absolutely.
there's some rumors maybe they're gonna do a season two. Would you want to see a season two?
Only if it's because they really have a great idea. I don't want it to just be because people liked the first season, so they got to do another one, which I'm always a little fearful of when something is pitched as a mini series and then later they're like, well, maybe we'll do more of it. Um, I hope that they only do another one if they've really got a great idea. Otherwise, I mean, I wouldn't be unhappy if if everybody's speculating about who the villain of this next Batman movie is going to be. It's going to be set in the winter. It's going to be Mr. Freeze. I'd honestly be happy if Penguin just took can kind of continue to take center stage and be the main villain of, if not the second one, maybe the third one when they
Yeah.
down the road when they get to it.
Colin Farrell spoke about it, so he said he is in Batman 2 and he's in Batman 3. And that he said in Batman 2 he says he has about 5 to 6 scenes. So I don't know if that'll
Okay.
change, but that's what he says right now. He's got like 5 to 6 scenes in it.
I think I want to say Matt Reeves said he'll be in the second one more than he was in the first one
Oh,
overall.
yeah, because yeah, I saw a compilation on. I don't know if that was all of his scenes because I saw a compilation on YouTube where it was all of his scenes and it was like 12 minutes. I was like, wow, he's only in the movie for 12 minutes. I was like, hmm. I was like,
Yeah,
that,
he really wasn't in that first one that much. He just made such a big impression when he did. I mean, I think he really deserves a nomination. I mean, I would go as, and I was saying this to the person I was watching the episode with before we started doing the recording, and I think we both agreed that I think Colin Farrell has done for the Penguin character what Heath Ledger did for the Joker character.
wow, okay, yeah. You think people are gonna be doing tons of penguin cosplay and going around
I bet there will be some. I mean, it's not going to be as it's probably not going to be as
prevalent?
everywhere as
Yeah,
that was, but I bet you'll get some people. I bet you'll get some people doing it.
yeah. Wear the top hat, trench coat, put on the penguin kind of.
Okay, I also want to call to that too because that was like his exact, even like to the color of like the bronze waistcoat. That was like his exact look in the animated series.
Let me pull up, yeah, how he looked there. And people was like, I saw something when somebody said like, this show is so good, I even forgave the whole like trope of he put on his iconic costume, because they'll do that in superhero stuff. They always got to put on the costume he's got
Mhm.
there.
I think
So
it worked here because it felt like he finally got everything he wanted, and with that control and wealth and power, he's like, I'm gonna dress up. I'm gonna dress up fancy because who's gonna who's gonna tell me not to anymore?
yeah, let me see if I can find it there if I can. But yeah, the costume design in the show is also really good. The costume design, especially with Sophia,
Oh yeah,
always really good there. Yeah, it looks like I can't find it right now, but yeah, yeah, you even see him. Yeah, he put on his costume and everything like that for it. That looked really, yeah, that was pretty good there. Um, so yeah, Batman Part 2 is coming out 2026, I think is the release date
October
for it.
2nd, 2026.
So a little bit before we see a return of Robert Pattinson's, the
Yeah,
Batman. So it's gonna be a minute there, which I don't mind. I don't mind taking a break there, between, the movies there. And I
same.
wonder if it's gonna be
Let me
3
miss
hours.
stuff.
Yeah, let you miss stuff, yeah, and, you gonna say
I
something?
don't know that I need it to be 3 hours again,
Oh, yeah.
but well, I was just saying I don't know if I need it to be 3 hours again, but I hope that if it is, the villain is handled better than it was the first time around.
Yeah. I mean, if they're doing this great character work with, Colin Farrell there, as the Penguin, and I like the Riddler. I think I like what they did with the Riddler there. I kinda like that there. Um, yeah, I don't hate his character, arc in it. I think I get it. I understand it there. I think they do a decent job at kinda
I I think it
presenting.
works. I just think that there's like you talk about Penguin having 12 minutes of screen time, but Riddler he really only gets like one scene to yeah, there you go, with the classic waistcoat and everything. But Riddler in that movie, I feel, only gets one scene to actually like show his character, and I think with how and obviously I know that it's going for a grounded feel, but I just wish that we got to spend more time with him actually getting to kind of express that character's personality a little more directly.
And this is him in
Oh yeah.
Batman the Animated Series. They're very rotund right here. Very rotund. Not much legs, not much neck, right there. So yeah. So, high tune in, low peak from me, and high peak from Sage for the Penguin. On Max right now, people can check it out, binge the whole thing out all right now.